So Delta Force is a brand new extraction shooter. I think targeted to release, if not end of this year, I think by next year, early next year. So this is a video from a content creator named Stode, and he played with Pestily and Westy. These are prominent content creators from the extraction shooter space. So they know a thing or two about extraction shooters, the gameplay, and they were invited by Delta Force to play test their game. The earlier build, I think it was released like first quarter of the year. This development build that they played on, and yeah, as Ryoju just pointed out, Delta Force will be cross-play. It'll be playable on mobile and on PC. I'm not sure if it will be available for consoles, but as far as I know, PC and mobile, it will be available. Delta Force has 3 different game modes. They have a multiplayer mode, just like Call of Duty. They have a Battlefield mode, just like Battlefield. And they have an extraction shooter mode. So 3 game modes in one branch of a game. That's very cool. It's called Hazard Ops, as far as I know. I'm not sure if they're gonna change that title. This is our first look at the gameplay for their extraction shooter. So you guys are free to like share your thoughts, your reactions about this, and I'll try to read them out as well. Please, if you haven't subscribed to Stode yet, subscribe to his channel. It's one of the bigger creators in YouTube for extraction shooters, including Westy and Pestily. Pestily, my idol. Let's react to this early gameplay of Delta Force, the extraction mode.
So, last week, I finally got to play the Delta Force extraction mode, Hazardous Operations. If I had to describe this game, it's the accessible gunplay and mechanics from Call of Duty and
It's a gator, bro.
DMZ, with more of the metagame of something like Tarkov or Arena Breakout. I played with Westy and Pestily at TwitchCon Rotterdam. I like the game overall, but I have a fair amount of concerns and positives to share with you. So I've condensed down about 2 hours of gameplay into about 20 minutes, and this is apparently an older build of the game from earlier in the year, so bear in mind
I don't know if I'm watching in the best set quality here.
A lot of this could change. Delta Force has also announced an alpha on the 18th of July, and it could be completely different by then.
So 18th of July is their alpha test, and I already signed up. Hopefully I get an invitation. If we're lucky, I get an invitation to play the game early. I'm really hoping to play this game. I'm not saying it's gonna replace Lost Light. Eventually we're gonna leave Lost Light, you know. And I'm very open to branch out to other games, and one of like this game, Delta Force, is one of them. So I'm just very excited to what this gameplay is gonna be like.
If you have any questions about something I might have missed that I don't mention, just leave me a comment down below and I'll try to get to it. So, as soon as you enter Hazard Operations, you have your classic extraction UI with the character tab, stash tab, missions, markets.
You have stash, operators. Oh yeah, because as someone mentioned, I think it's John Maxin, the operators here have skills. They have like special abilities for each character, which we'll see in a bit though. And as you can see, there is departments, auction house. I think auction house is your black market. Gunsmith, black side, I'm not sure what that is. Collections, mostly maybe your archive records. So some of these I don't know. I'm guessing the stash is your storage. Departments, I'm not sure. Maybe these are your missions or for like traders or something. I'm not sure what black side is though. So these are like very common things that you would see on an extraction shooter. The big map, some details, the storage, the operators. Operators we don't really have in Lost Light. We do have operator skins though. So departments, auction house, black side, gunsmith, and collections. So very simple UI, very clean, very nice. It doesn't look like a mobile game if you ask me. But it's really cool. So let's just continue.
Place, gunsmith, etc. Once you've picked your gear and character, you're then shown a short pre-game animation, and you're shown your exact drop location on a mini-map.
That map
with a short traversal.
That map is so clean. Look at that.
And you're shown your exact drop.
Look at that map. It's big enough. I'm not saying it's super big. Like, it's like the size is moderate enough for you to like have so much content and exploration. for different kinds of missions, and I'm pretty sure they're gonna add more areas to the map, or even new bigger maps in the options. It's really good, like the layout and stuff. Very balanced. And I think there's a, is that a train station? So that means there's a, is there a way for you like to travel with the train, I think? And you can see the legends here, extraction points, inactive extractions. These are maybe extractions that you need a condition before you can extract. Extraction point trigger, mission, Mando brick. I don't know what that is. Decoding station, boss. So there are indicators if there are boss NPCs around the area as well. Contracts and a safe. So these are like, the safe is like high tier loot that you can get in the game. Very nice. And it already shows you where you land, I think. I'm not sure if it showed us. Over here. I think it's this small square here. Very small square with a white box here. This is where you land and I spawn in.
Drop location on a
Yeah.
Spawn into the map with a short traversal animation, and like DMZ, you kind of just fade into the match. This was our very first game, so we decided to test the friendly fire, and it turns out there's no damage to teammates whatsoever.
That is good. That is good. I think that's a if you're aiming for a more casual audience, I think friendly fire should be off all the time. I don't think it should be added in any situation. Just like what we have in Arena Breakout Infinite, there's no friendly fire unless it fits a grenade. Even with Lost Light, there's no friendly fire. I think that's a good staple for like, or a standard in terms of for the casual audience, because you don't want people like killing you on the spot, right? So this is good. I think they're from this feature itself, you can already tell that they're leaning towards the casual player base. Although this really reminds me of DMZ. I don't know if some of you have played DMZ before on Call of Duty. This kind of reminds me of DMZ, but the overall look and design of like these characters, their armors, they're very Arena Breakout or like Tarkov like. So I don't know.
We start to test our abilities. So this class has the healing gun, and it seems like I've got the smoke drones as well. And this medic class also has access to a normal smoke grenade.
What, dude? That's a long smoke. You see, he just completely covered the entire pathway of this like gate.
Well, and this medic class also has access to a normal smoke grenade, and you can see my abilities recharging in the bottom right. So we push into this compound, and we come across like a Juggernaut style boss with a minigun.
And given that I saw his, sorry, I'm going back. Given that I saw his healing, I think it's a healing dart gun. It has a cooldown, so it means it replenishes as time passes by. So it's not limited ammo for using these skills. So that means you can always use this as long as you have ammo for it. It's really cool.
And it seems like I've got the smoke drones as well. And this medic class also has access to a normal smoke grenade, and you can see my abilities recharging in the bottom right. So we push into this.
Yeah, exactly. Very good. I guess a good operator if you're into playing as a support role within a team. That's very nice.
Compound, and we come across like a Juggernaut style boss with a minigun.
Boss?
He's heavily armored, and if he actually gets a sightline on you,
that recoil,
really does a lot of damage. But remember, we've got really high value ammo, so we actually take
that gunplay. That's really very Call of Duty if you look at it.
Him out pretty quickly, and he goes down. So every enemy that you kill drops a loot box that everyone can actually interact with at once. And just
a
like
UI.
you have rigs, helmets, backpack. You can hover over items to instantly.
UI is very Arena Breakout like, yeah. Like the design of these items, very similar to Arena Breakout, like the similar design choices of the font, the styles of the armor. But you can see from here, the armor is visible, guys. So that's a big win. The armor is visible. And I think they have tiers. If you look at this helmet, its background is blue. That's a lower tier, I guess. And this helmet is red. I think it's red or purple. I'm not sure. I think I'm colorblind. But I think that's a higher tier. Oh, yeah, this is purple. This is red. And this is gold. So there are rarities as well. Very good indicators to tell you what item type it is and their level.
loot, or you can click and drag them to your inventory and change their orientation. About a minute later, we start getting shot at by what we think are players, so we take a bit of damage, and you can actually see that Pestily pings the direction that the enemies are in. And this is where we realize that we should probably use our ability.
I like that, I like that. I mean, that's a must for me if you're like a casual player like me. Ping system is very helpful. For those, I'm pretty sure most of you are not very comfortable with voice chat and tend to play like without any microphones. And a ping system will always be useful for any player that doesn't want to talk. So a ping system is really good. That ping feature is really good.
Pings the direction that the enemies are in. And this is where we realize that we should probably use our abilities. So I use the healing gun on Pestily, and it's actually
that
a
is fast
heal for what is usually quite a slow healing game.
That is fast.
Players nearby. They peek around the corner, and I break their armor, and it shows a little UI element.
You can see the indicator as well, like directional indicator of where you're getting shot at. That is nice. This is very Call of Duty, but I like it that it's their own style. It's familiar, or like it resembles Call of Duty, but if you look at it from a first glance, it doesn't look like Call of Duty. It feels like COD though.
This guy I down, and again, it shows me that I knocked them down. And then with a little more damage, of course, they go into the finished state. Now, just like DMZ, their body will stay in the round until all of their teammates are eliminated. So, because this guy's body disappears, we know that we wiped the squad, and we can loot his character like we did with the Juggernaut. After the fight, we take a little bit more damage, so I decide that I'm going to heal both Pestily and Top.
I'm sorry, I think I'm covering the HP. I'm going to move my camera a bit here so you guys can see. There you go. There's their HP bars of like each character. I saw a question, no knife yet. If I look at the bottom right, once I play, there are options for 2, 3, and 4. I think I see a knife at hotkey number 3. I think it's a knife.
Make our way into the lab building, and we find these giant loot boxes. And this gives you an idea of how long it actually takes to loot things. It's much faster than other extraction shooters I've played. And you can simply just drag and drop them straight into your bag, and that's value that you can take out of the round. Whilst I'm looting, I hear a commotion in the hallway next door, and I make a huge mistake. Get absolutely smashed by a
you got knife
and his guards. Eventually, both Pestily and I go down into the finished state, and you can see there's like a small timer around our names. Then Westy uses the carry mechanic that I talked about in the other video to bring him to safety.
I like this. There's a proper... I mean, I'm gonna react to the carrying mechanic, but I like this as a whole, the spectating feature. You can clearly look at your teammates' POV in third person. This is very nice. When you're like not available to play because you're down or you're dead, you can like spectate your teammates. But I like this feature that you can carry your teammates to safety before reviving them.
Into the finished state, and you can see there's like a small timer around our names. Then Westy uses the carry mechanic that I talked about in the other video to bring him to safety just in case one of those guards pushes around the corner, and then it takes about 10 seconds for the full revive to go off. You come back with a tiny slither of health.
10 seconds to revive.
After being revived, Pestily doesn't quite get back to full health and tries to re-peek the boss, who just instantly downs him. And then whilst trying to keep back the boss and going to revive Pestily, he runs out of the timer, and this time, Pestily's body disappears and he can no longer be revived.
From that point, if your teammate's body is no longer in the map, you cannot revive them anymore. So I think that's the mechanic that they're trying to say here.
And then whilst trying to keep back the boss and going to revive Pestily, he runs out of the timer, and this time,
he dies.
His body disappears and he can no longer be revived. So you get one chance to be revived from finish, but after that, you can't extract anymore. Westy gets taken out, and our whole squad is wiped, and we leave with nothing. It's certain.
So once you die, once you die, you only get one revive. So once you're down, when you are revived, that's your last life. You cannot come back anymore. That's a good mechanic instead of like respawning. Because I always found like it's weird if you have a respawn mechanic in an extraction shooter. That doesn't make sense. That shouldn't be in an extraction shooter if we're talking about realism, no?
Certainly wasn't a bad first run, and we learned a lot about the game.
This is so familiar. Why is this so familiar? The recap. The recap is very familiar. We have this in Lost Light. I mean, it's a Chinese development game, so I am not surprised.
And it shows you a nice graphic of exactly where you got hit. Once you're back in the menu, you pick your guns, you take the gun into
visible armor, guys. We have visible armor in this game, which is very nice. So you can easily tell if your enemy is like very geared up if you want to fight them or not. Very useful information if you want to participate in a fight. Did I see a lobby? I think I saw a lobby before he spawned in. Yeah. Oh, this is good. I like this. A lobby where you can like walk around the area. This is nice. This reminds me a lot of the Cycle Frontier, where you can like explore areas of the base, and you can like participate with traders. You can buy shit. You can like craft stuff, and like you can like explore an entire area that's dedicated for your player only. This is very nice. I'm not sure if it's shared though, because we don't really see any other players in the area. So this is nice. I like this.
Menu. You pick your guns, you take the gun into the gunsmith and add all the attachments that you expect. And remember, this gunsmith can...
Whoa, that's a lot of weapons. M4A1, AUG, M16, Car 15. Car 15? I'm not familiar with that. AKS-74. 95 longbow. Is this the QBZ? SG552. AKM, Scar H, AK-12, M4A1, AUG Assault.
Add all the attachments that you expect. And remember, this gunsmith, compared to something like Call of Duty, you have potentially up to about 15 attachment slots.
15 attachment slots, depending on the weapon.
Depending on the weapon. Now, armor, attachments, and items all have a value rating. You know, green, blue, purple, gold. The higher the value...
No sniper. They're definitely going to add that,
the better the stats you would expect. Ammo types and armor values matter in this game. There seems to be a lot of variation in bullet damage and damage reduction on hitboxes depending on the type of armor and ammo you use. And that is definitely my #1 concern.
Even the bag's visible. I mean, it's visible in Lost Lights.
Once you think your character's ready, you can then press prepare to start matchmaking.
Yeah, we always have this. You can already tell that this is like a casual approach towards players, because it has so many like tutorials, reminders. Like this one, we have a reminder that you don't have enough bullets, you don't have enough healing items. Like these are how do you say this? These are signs that they're leading towards a casual player base.
But the game will warn you if you're missing any extra supplies like ammo and meds. You can bring up a quick buy menu to buy anything you might have missed.
Quick buy,
remember,
nice.
in this game,
I like that.
You don't have to...
What? No food plus water mechanic. Oh, so there's no hunger and thirst mechanic. So you just focus on like doing missions then, huh? You just focus on doing missions, gunfights. You don't have to worry much about your stats. I don't know. Maybe this is just like because of it's an early build. Maybe they'll add it eventually. I don't know. Because I'm pretty sure you can get injured, like with your legs, your arms. You can bleed. Here are the characters, guys. Currently there are 5, but they only showcased 4. So the 5th one is not available to use.
The heroes we could pick were a class with faster movement and stamina recovery with a grenade launcher, a class with a healing dart gun and smoke drones, another class with a revealing wallhack bow, and then also a tank class with some sort of protective shields and disruption. Again, something that I was definitely not expecting to be included in the extraction mode, but we'll get to that later.
What do you guys think about that? Since they're adding this, I mean, I think this is their approach to it, to being different. What do you guys think about operators having these special abilities? I think they're fine in my book as long as they're not offensive skills. Like the legal wall hack is fine if it's just very short. The movement speed boost is okay as well. Because they're not really like skills that do direct damage to enemies. So I think they're not that big of an issue.
In our second game, we're a little bit more confident. So we run straight off the spawn and we start heading in a different direction. So eventually we push into this little village. There's apparently a safe here, which means that's high value loot. Now you'll notice that the AI sometimes hits me and does no damage because I'm guessing their bullets don't penetrate my armor.
What? Shouldn't you still get damage if you get hit, even if the bullets are weak? Like even the minimal damage. I know they have the highest tier armor, but they should still get damage. Like even just like let's say minus 5 HP. Basically immune to damage if you have the highest tier armor.
Which again, could be a very confusing thing for new players. And again, we're using very high value ammo, so the enemies are going down very quickly. I don't know if it would be the same if we were using some of that cheaper ammo. We end up fighting more players near the safe, and this guy dies without any kind of revive animation, so that means his team was wiped. Find the safe icon. It turns out it's a computer case and a laptop. You can loot them. It seemingly has decent loot. But in order to get the best loot, we have to do this code thing that I actually end up doing later. But Westy already did it, and so he's taken the data. And honestly, the mini-map is one of the most impressive things about this game. It has the location of everything you need. It even tells you what loot you...
It resembles a lot of DMZ, where DMZ kind of tells you where to go. Very useful. Like I like this. Again, we're leading towards a casual player base, which is what DMZ was also doing. But sadly, DMZ is in Call of Duty, and you know they abandoned the game after 1 year. So I don't know. I think Delta Force extraction shooter is the next big thing.
Here we were testing full damage to see how far you could jump down without taking damage.
That medic gun. I think I'll main medic once I get to play this game.
It seems like the full damage is pretty forgiving, but you can break your legs. But at the same time, I'm not sure what breaking your legs actually does, because it seems like you can still sprint and jump even if your legs are broken.
So there's no penalty if you're like injured? Like, I mean, that's one thing that should be realistic. Like, if you're injured with your legs, you can't run. Or if you try to run, you get hurt. You get direct HP damage.
So eventually we make our way into this palace type area and we start seeing some more players. So I mark them out for my team.
You guys see that? How he pinged? His character points the location.
And we start seeing some more players. So I'm...
Oh, I like that, bro.
I actually get an assist for tagging him. And notice how he's not finished. Therefore, there's definitely more teammates up. And you'll see that this guy actually comes back later to fight us. So his teammate does actually get the res on him. We keep pushing up, and this guy actually blindsides me a little bit.
He had the ambush, and he missed the shot? Did he have no bullets at all, bro? See? If that was me, I'd be dead, bro.
And this guy actually blindsides me a little bit, but he doesn't actually hit me. But he does go down and then gets finished, and his body doesn't disappear, so they still have another teammate. Once we get into, like, the main courtyard area, I point out that there's definitely an enemy up there. I think it's an AI. The AI pushed into the courtyard, and then there's a Juggernaut character again, like the one we faced earlier. It does seem like the AI is actually dynamic and spawns in waves to attack you when you're doing contracts or doing objectives.
That's
After
nice.
the fight this time, the safe objective was actually a safe with good loot in it, and it seems like you can actually loot all at the same time. So I cheekily stole this little jewel thing here.
So you have shared loot, so you can just like take stuff even if your team is looting it.
Then as we're leaving, we start getting shot at by players again, and when we actually down and finish them, we notice it's the same guy.
Yeah, okay, look at that. He got shot from a player, but his HP is still 100.
And then as we're leaving, we start getting shot at by players again.
You see the HP bar? It didn't change.
Finish them, we notice it's the same guy that we shot earlier. As I'm walking along, I see this weird long box thing. So I guess you can just find loose loot weapons that you can pick up and use.
This is a good way for you to like do a 0 to hero challenge. You can get weapons like this.
We go back inside the palace to do a demolition contract, which means putting C4 on a loot door, and then in 1.5 minutes it opens, but it spawns loads of AI. We wait for the timer to run down, the door explodes, and we can go in and loot the place. The loot wasn't actually great, but there was another puzzle to do. This time I gave it a go, and they just essentially give you a load of patterns assigned to numbers. But if you look at the bottom...
Morse code. Oh, it's a puzzle game. Oh, let's decipher this. 173, yeah.
It seems like it will automatically get unlocked at a certain time anyway, so you don't have to rush it if you don't want to. So now we're ready to extract, so someone marks...
I like that. I like that they have that. There's like... It's another branch of content. Like, there are puzzles in the game. That's very fun to do. And I imagine there will be harder ones to decipher. Like, they say 6 numbers that you have to decipher in a short amount of time.
And you see the map actually tells us exactly exactly how much money it's going to cost to extract. So apparently we all need 30,000 currency each in order to extract individually.
So if you ping an extraction, it gives you the info if you can extract to it or not. So if you mark an extraction, it gives you the info if it has a requirement. So for this extraction, 30,000 of the currency of your whatever you have is needed to extract, and there are limited extractions. This is good. Like, it gives you the info of what you need to be able to extract.
After we escape the palace, we head to the extraction that we marked. It wasn't obvious.
Sorry guys, I keep pausing, but you see the stamina bar? I like how they placed it like very bottom center. I don't like it when they put the stamina bar like near the center of your screen. It's so annoying. What's the point of that? I mean, we can check the stamina bar even if it's lower. So I like that they're doing this. It's lower on the screen right here. You see it here? This is the stamina bar. It's not a clutter on your screen. I don't like clutter on the screen because I want to enjoy the game, like the immersion as much as possible. Even if I'm playing it casually, like so much clutter on the screen kind of ruins the immersion sometimes.
You hook yourself on. We asked Westy if our characters were still in the game or he could see us extract, but unfortunately you do just disappear off the map. It shows you how much you extracted, and of course you can take all the loot that you got from the game and put it into your stash. In our third and final game, we did a similar run to what we did in our first run, so I've skipped forward quite a bit.
He's using the guy that is able to run really fast.
But this shows the overload on the Bionic Legs character. You can obviously run faster, and you have basically unlimited stamina. After running around for a bit, Pestily finds a lever to make the train depart. And apparently everyone on the map gets notified that the train's leaving, and anyone can extract on it. Now, because we had quite a long time to wait, I thought I would go
Nova Logic, are they Chinese? Yes.
and find the crocodile that I saw from the trailers. And I knew that it was in this area because I've seen this area so many times in the footage I've seen. I spot one of the little crocodiles and I'm like, oh, maybe I'll have to shoot it. But it actually aggroes to me almost instantly and starts running up.
What?
That's, of course, when I realized that I'm not even full health. So I realized I probably should have healed up. And this is also a great time to talk about the healing system.
This reminds me of Hunt Showdown.
So obviously I try and like panic heal myself. And it looks like it's aggroed on them, but it's still... So these guys get together and just stab it to death. But in the end, we get our knives out and we manage to...
Yeah, this confirms it. We have melee weapons for this one.
Now, by this point, we actually realize, oh crap, the train's actually about to leave and we have about 30 seconds left. And we're all low on health.
Look at that. Like, he has a leg injury. He is able to tank it with his character's ability.
But notice how I have all these injuries, but it doesn't seem to be affecting my running. But I use my ability to basically speed run and have no stamina loss to run all the way to the train. And again, it brings me to the thought of how strong these abilities are, especially with how fast they actually reactivate. So the train's got 20 seconds left.
Yeah, they might have to nerf some of the abilities, like give them longer cooldowns, because you don't want players abusing them. Since they have short cooldowns, it's kind of hard to like participate in PvP if they're gonna be abusing those abilities. So maybe they need to like tweak them a bit, make them more balanced. I'm not saying that nerf them to the ground, just balance them out, give them higher cooldowns, and give more penalties for like when you're bleeding, you have broken legs. You should still experience these penalties even if you have an ability active right now.
It's just me on board. The other guys are pretty far back. Pestily actually manages to keep up, but I
the hell is that?
Make it a bit harder for him.
Oh, was that a grenade launcher? What? See that? This line here? I don't know, tracker, tracer, I don't know, but you get my point. I like this feature.
Actually manages to keep up, but I decided to try and make it a bit harder for him. And in the last second, he gets on the train. And
oh, look at that. He disappears from it. So what he said earlier, from what Stoda said earlier, when you're extracting, you just suddenly disappear. As you can see, his teammate suddenly disappears as soon as they extract.
Try and make it a bit harder for him. And in the last second, he gets on the train. And so, what do I think of it thus far? Well, let's start with the positives. The map we played was large, plenty of diverse areas to explore, great visibility, and pretty optimized performance that will probably run well.
Whoa, was that a sniper rifle? What? Wait, it's an Hey, with a 3.5?
That will probably run well on most systems and consoles. Plenty of cover in all areas of the map with just the right amount of detail, a good amount of contracts, bosses, loot, with dynamic extractions that made it feel different each time. The minimap, UI, and icons are clean and descriptive, and the mechanics are intuitive and
recoil, bro.
Almost identical gunplay to Call of Duty, smooth and easy to control recoil. The stamina system and ammo systems are very forgiving. The inventory, marketplace, and hideout are simple but easy to understand.
Yeah.
It looks like there's already plans for a lot of future content. Overall, the most promising and accessible extraction shooter I've played this year compared to DMZ.
So when he says accessible, because DMZ is exclusive to like PC and console, right? Delta Force will be available for mobile as well. So that's a good sign to be able to cross-play. It opens the door to a much wider audience, especially if they're leading towards the casual player base. Mobile users will definitely enjoy this game.
However, there are a few concerns that I feel will potentially put off a lot of players coming from an arcade background. The most complex system being the ammo and armor.
Not really, no. I mean, I'm a casual player. For those who are new to extraction shooters, how long did you guys take to learn the bullet mechanics? Like what bullets you should use, the tiers? For me, it took me a while, like let's say maybe 2 weeks when I started playing. Because before, when I freshly played Lost Light, I just took any bullets that I had. A couple of weeks, 10 minutes. Oh yeah. But yeah, I mean the point here is there's a learning curve if you're new to this kind of a game. There's a learning curve in like learning the bullet tiers, what bullets you use, the armor tiers, what kind of protection you get from these. Like it's not just you playing a game, you also have to study and do your own research as well. I think that's one factor that might be challenging. I'm not saying it's impossible. I think it's challenging for a casual player who just want to play the game casually, like, you know, just play the game as is. And that might be a factor that could hinder their enjoyment sometimes, you know. But again, if you're really into a game, you give time to learn it.
And when they shoot a player and do little to no damage, it won't be readable. If they really want this game to be more accessible, they might need to simplify the ammo and damage system.
I saw from the comments a suggestion to like give more visibility of what kind of bullets and armor that they're using. It's similar to what Lost Light is doing. Like when you shoot someone or when they shoot you, you get the HP bar appear, right? But I think they shouldn't do an HP bar from this game. They should just do like a small icon, let's say a shield, and what color tier of an armor they have. Maybe that way. Maybe that's like small indicator. Doesn't have to be like full HP bar. That's very stupid what Lost Light is doing. So like it only shows up when you're hitting them. So something like that. That's a good suggestion.
The hero-like abilities. They will be incredibly strong in PvP situations and more of an overpowered meta than a helpful tool. Whichever is the strongest ability in PvP is going to be the most used hero in the extraction mode.
Yeah, like that's what I mentioned earlier, that they should like nerf the abilities a bit, give them bigger cooldowns, shorter duration. It's like if you guys remember earlier, we saw the overload skill, or like when this character he's using right now is running at super high speed. It's kind of unfair that you can move that fast very long. Like I think he was able to run for like 30 seconds. That's a very long duration if you ask me. Especially in a gunfight, that's gonna be hard to track. They should like nerf these abilities a bit. Make them more grounded, but not to a point where they're useless anymore. So that's a good maybe balancing thing to do.
I feel like the main abilities need to be something that are very rarely used, or maybe just really toned down for the extraction mode. I'm actually surprised that they added the ability to be revived after being finished. But for players coming from DMZ, it still might be a little punishing to always be eliminated on the second finish. It would be nice that your squad is only fully wiped once the whole squad is down, especially if they want to attract that casual player base, but that is definitely coming from a DMZ bias. I think at this time, Hazardous Operations isn't sure which player base it really wants to appeal to. In my opinion, Arena Breakout fully gives the Tarkov players, so leaning more into the COD and Battlefield audience would be the play. However, I also understand that this will potentially be the only other extraction shooter on console apart from DMZ.
So that kind of confirms that this game will be also available on console. So it'll be available for console, PC, and mobile. So that's a big audience to cover. Okay, that was it. That was the video. What did you guys think? So big shout out again to Stode. I'm not sure if he's gonna notice my video. So anyway, so subscribe to Stode, Pestily, and Westy. So that was Delta Force, the Hazard Ops gameplay. The game mode that I'm very excited to play, but we'll definitely try out the other game modes as well. So yeah, that was my initial reaction to the early access gameplay, and I'm very excited for its alpha test gameplay this month. Hopefully I get a chance to play, and yeah. So for those watching this video on YouTube, rewatching it, please share your thoughts and comments and leave a like on the video. Thanks so much for watching, guys.